right, we're here at my outside worm bin, and the last time we were in here, we had kind of a looking glass situation going, and within that, we were able to see the worms really clear, but we also created a fermentation pocket for them. So we dug that up, and we saw lots of worm balls, but we also had a lot of extra food in there. So we decided not to feed, and we just added a ton of cardboard, and that's kind of what you see here is all these cardboard shreds. And right here is a magnolia tree fruit that they're still attacking. So what we did was about 5 days after that, we actually came in here and we separated all the worms from the castings, and we pulled out about 1,500 to set up my neighbor Jeff's VermiHut. So go ahead and check out that video. That was pretty fun to set that up. So now this worm bin has way fewer worms than it had the last time we were in here. And right here is an avocado shell. Let's see if we can see any inside of it. Usually they like to hang out there. So yep, a little bit in there. And so I guess when we look back, the last time we fed this was about 28 days ago. 14 days ago, they did have a lot of food that was left over that was fermented. And one of the things I wanted to check on was the health of the worms. And when we pulled them out about 5 days after we checked them, I didn't see any kind of string of pearl disease or anything like that, which can happen when fermentation gets within the digestive system of the worm, the gases expand, and it kind of looks like a string of pearls is created out of the worm, and it's harmful and ultimately deadly to them. So the other thing I want to check out is how does the density of this bin look as compared to the last time we were in here? And I can tell it is less dense for sure. One, because there's no food to kind of gather them around, but also because we shrank the population by at least a third. Thought I had about 6,000 worms in here, and now there's probably somewhere around 4,000 in here. So let's go ahead and keep digging around and seeing. The other thing I'm noticing is that the castings are cooler. We had a little bit of a cold snap come through here. So with colder castings, that means that the worms are not going to be quite as active as they have been in the past. And I keep this worm bin outdoor year-round. And occasionally I'll throw it in the garage if we're going to have a frost or a freeze or that kind of thing, which only happens a few times a year. If you're in kind of zone 9B, which I'm in here in Tampa, Florida, then you can have an outdoor worm bin if you keep it in the shade in the summer, and you just kind of monitor it in the winter, especially with red wigglers, which are very forgiving worms and have a pretty good temperature range for survival. And this right here is an avocado pit. Whoops, not a chance that thing's going to break apart anytime soon. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more of the edges, and then what we're going to do is we are going to add a lot of kind of crazy bedding, and we're going to add some compost from my compost pile, and then we're going to add a bunch of food just to kind of jumpstart this bin with all these worms in here to try and get their population back up. So let me go ahead and set a hole here, and then we'll dive right in. All right, first thing I'm going to do is kind of line the bottom with my shredded cardboard. And you can see I have some office paper in there too, but the shredded cardboard itself gives it a lot of structure. And then I'm going to put in this funky little thing. I think this is for packaging to kind of keep things sturdy. So I'm just going to put that right in there. It seems to be made out of like almost a cardboard paper kind of thing. And I think the worms will like to get into the nooks and crannies of that. Next, I'm going to add some of my compost that I've just gotten from my compost pile. And this is going to add a lot of microbes for them, and they should enjoy eating and going through it. Break up some of these pieces right here. Woo! I think I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. I'm going to add some coffee right to it right there. And what I'm going to have to do, because a lot of this is dry, is I'm going to water the bin right after we're done filming here. And I just add water directly on the top. This is made out of fabric right here, so the whole bin just drains and actually keeps a wonderful moisture all the time. So here's what we had in mind for our feeding. I was gonna feed this whole thing, but just judging on how many worms we have here, I'll probably hold off on doing that. Here's a bit of a purple onion right there, some tomato, banana peel, which typically takes long. We've got some lettuce here, which is a very fast food for them. And then watermelon. You can see this is previously frozen. I let it thaw out a little bit, but I like to freeze my food so it gets real mushy and enables the worms to get right to it to eat. Here's a broccoli stem and a peach. I think that'll probably do it for the feeding, but let's go ahead and put on some amendments. And this sticker right here, the worms will eat all around it, and eventually I'll be able to pull that sticker right off. So I'll add just a little bit more coffee right on top right there. Then I'm gonna go in with my grit, which is just pulverized eggshells, within their digestive tract, they have gizzards, and they use that in order to grind up their food. And then next we'll put in some worm chow, which is just expired grains, that kind of thing for my pantry that I like to add, just another food source for them as well. And then finally, I'm gonna try and sneak in a couple of these toilet paper rolls. They've done really well in my bins, and the worms seem to like to tunnel into them, so I'll add some of them for them. Maybe one more right here. And then let's top it off with a little bit more shredded cardboard. There we go, one more handful. And then somehow I'm gonna try and bury this with all the castings that we have around here. So I'm hoping this addition of bedding will help kind of jumpstart the worms. It's been a while since they were fed fresh food, so they're going to enjoy it and hopefully get their population up. Now, I do find that the worms tend to reproduce a lot quicker in the spring and summer, and we are coming into the fall here, or autumn, which I'm sure the executive producer, whose name is Autumn, likes to hear. So we'll just kind of see how long it takes to get back up to about the 6,000 mark that we thought we had in here last time. So let me go ahead and make sure everything's covered, and then I think I'm just gonna put some more bedding right on top. There we go, more bedding, and even more, and even more. Now what we're gonna do is come in here and absolutely wet this down. This is gonna need a lot of water, which will, again, like I said, drain down. And then tomorrow I'll look at it and probably add a little bit more water, and even the day after, so that it's a good moisture all the way through, and then I'll be able to let it go. So I hope you're all having a great day. I hope your worm bins are doing well. So happy vermicomposting, everybody. Take care now.